This last weekend, I really had a hard time sleeping, especially Saturday night. And I was just laying there awake, and all that was running through my head was these riots and the fact that people watched a man get murdered in the street. And I couldn't figure out at first why I couldn't sleep. And I came to two realizations. First is I think my heart was finally getting broken over something that it should have been broken over too many deaths ago. And then the second thing was me trying to figure out and work through in my brain what in the world I, a teacher in Southern Ohio, a mom, a wife, 30-something-year-old, could really do outside of posting something on social media, like a quote or something. And I really believe God spoke to me at 1 a.m. in the middle of the night, saying to me, "Stephanie, do your job. Teach." I love my job. I love teaching. I love where I teach. I believe my school has the very best kids and the very best families in the world. But 99% of the people where I live and I work look just like me. And I know that, especially rural America, I don't know especially, but I know in rural America and other places, that some kids, and it's not their fault, but they could go for sure their entire elementary life without physically seeing, meeting, or interacting with a person of color or a person that is culturally different, like for me, from edge of Appalachia. And for some kids, the only idea of people who are racially or culturally different from them comes from movies, books, TV, sports, social media, video games. And it's not okay, because I watch some of those movies and some of those shows, and I see what the news media chooses to show us. And these mediums are not accurate examples of real people in the real world. So I think this is where the teaching comes in. And it's not that I am standing in front of my class teaching them about other people or teaching them about history or celebrating one specially designated month of a year. And I don't think it's for me to read another person's story in a biography or an autobiography, or to read a well-written novel. I want real people to tell us about their lives. And I want to invite real people of color to be their real selves with me and my students in my classroom. So, logistically, I know that I have a lot to work out, especially in our current state of kind of quarantine, and especially COVID-19, where in the fall I know it's not going to be physically people coming into my classroom. But like, here's my big idea, my wish, my dream, we'll say, we're going to call it, that I would think I was given. But it's to have a group of wonderfully made people whose shade of melanin happens to be not the same as mine, who will become weekly or monthly virtual volunteers in my classroom next year. So I'm thinking these virtual volunteers can do a lot of things. They'll make a video. It won't be live. We've got some privacy laws and things to deal with there in classrooms, but to make a video of themselves, maybe reading us a poem, or I'm going to have first chapter Fridays next year. Maybe someone reads the first chapter of one of their favorite books that they read when they were, for my kids, my kiddos are 6th graders. Maybe you share a joke of the week, or I'm going to be planning a writing assignment, and you make a video sharing yourself telling us this prompt, and then my students can write about it or journal about it. These virtual volunteers could do a quote of the day, or if there's going to be a science experiment in someone's science class, they could introduce the experiment. Maybe a virtual volunteer could give the math problem of the day. I really feel that this is where the learning for my students is going to happen, that they're going to see the same faces over and over again throughout a year. And even though they're not live, they're still going to be developing a relationship with that person. If we can watch TV shows and read books and watch movies and feel that we are connecting with these characters, then I believe that we can connect with a virtual volunteer that we are seeing every week, who's saying, "Hi, Mrs. Nelly's class. Today I'm going to read to you this poem." But it's someone that's consistent. And it's going to bring a real person who has their own real perspective, and it's going to be to kids who would otherwise, again, through not any fault of their own other than geographically where they live, to get to experience something they wouldn't experience otherwise. And I know I could probably Google this somehow and get a whole bunch of videos, but to me it's not the same as having that personalized over and over interaction with the same person. And I really hope that this is something that can happen this year. So I've chosen to call this dream project, I'm going to call it my dream, Project Elpis. It's a Greek word, and I realize it's actually pronounced Elpis, but when you see it written, people are going to say Elpis. So we're going to go Project Elpis. And Elpis is the Greek word for hope, or the expectation of hope, or sometimes even the physical embodiment of hope. And I think hope is what a lot of people are needing right now, and I think especially our kids when we head back to school in the fall. One, I think we all need hope that people's hearts can change, like mine has changed, and I hope that everyone allows people's hearts to change, and I realize they're not all changing at the same pace, but they can. And that's the hope, that we can change and create a better, future, a better now for our kids, and hope that there can be real change for our country. And so if Project Elpis is something that you can see yourself partnering with as a virtual volunteer, or if you have a friend who you're like, oh my goodness, this person would be perfect to be a virtual volunteer in a classroom, shoot me an email at projectelpis2020@gmail.com, or you can visit www.projectelpis.net and get more information there. There's a whole page just for virtual volunteers. If you're a teacher and this is something that you could see being beneficial in your classroom, something that you would like to try and implement as well, there's also a page on that website. Hold on, I'll let this car go by. It's not a car, it's a tractor. And if you're a teacher and you would see this being beneficial for your classroom, you can also go to that website, projectelpis.net, and there's a whole page there just for teachers and information for you. Again, I know we've got a lot to do on this, and I have a lot more planning to put into it, but I would really like to partner with some amazing people, and we can work through this together. Thank you.